Living Corporate is brought to you by Doximity. Over 90% of graduating medical students join Doximity to use our tools before earning their doctoral degree. As medicine's largest network, there's an elevated level of responsibility to everything we do. We don't take that responsibility lightly and are committed to working towards a more equitable world inside and beyond our virtual office walls. If you want to learn more about Doximity, make sure you go to your app store, type in DOXIMITY. That's DOXIMITY.
Hey, hey, hey. Hello, hello, hello. And welcome to Dump DEI. Dump DEI, Dissecting the Data, Part 3. My name is Vonda Page, and I am your host. I am super excited to talk to you. I am super excited to be here. I am super excited to embark on an amazing trip, and I leave tomorrow. I'm going to beautiful Washington, D.C. to hang out with my fellow cohorts in an amazing mentorship program, as well as our mentor and coaches. And I'm just super excited. And hey, there's my girl in the house, Tammy TT. What's up? I am super excited to be here. I am super excited to talk again about Dump DEI, right? And to talk about this data. And what I think is so, interesting is, I played Stop to Think, right? Deion Ferris to open it up. And she's one of my favorite artists. She doesn't have a gigantic music catalog, but let me just tell you, hey, we need to dump it. What's up, Wendy? So, hey, look, y'all, I played Stop to Think, right, by Deion Ferris, because what I'm trying to figure out is, where is the thinking? Where is the thinking behind DEI in terms of looking at what we know to be true, looking at what we absolutely 100% know to be true. So, hey, I want to thank y'all for joining. I want to do little quick intros for people who have not had a chance to listen before, if this is their first time. So, hey, my name is Vonda Page, and I am the Radical Results Mentor for leaders looking to level up and managers making moves. I'm the CEO of Radical Change LLC. LLC stands for Leaders Learn Change, which is a boutique revolutionary coaching firm really focused on leveling up leaders to legendary status. And I do that through masterminds, mentorships, memberships, and of course through classes like what I am doing. But I feel so strongly about how we need to dump DEI that I wrote a book about it. And the book is called Dump DEI, Alleviate Anti-Blackness Instead. I started writing it back in like 2017, but then 2020, it really took another turn. And, I said, okay, well, it's time to put it out here. And so I believe that, I understand, first of all, let me back up and say, first of all, right, I want to explain to people hearing and tuning in for the first time that when I say dump DEI, when I say dump diversity, equity, inclusion, I am not talking about dumping the overall goals of DEI, especially not as the way Black people see them. And I think, and my fellow sisters, y'all let me know what you think, but I think, right, that for Black women specifically, and Indigenous women, I feel like that they would be okay with me speaking for them. DEI has not worked for us. I pasted a link in the chat to a SHRM report that is hilarious. And Tammy, you will love it. And Dr. Wendy, I think you're going to love it too. But the SHRM report talks about the trends that they know that nobody is doing the work. And it's almost like they're making a joke. It's almost like they're playing in our face. It's almost like they are intentionally saying, ha, 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 this was never made or created to advance equity or equality for Black women. It wasn't designed for that, right? And so what we know is we know that data exists eternally, right? Internally. We know that they have the data because all of these reports, they keep saying the same thing. And so for years, since I've been following all of this stuff, I've been following this stuff since 1996. And I remember this, and this is a super funny story, but we had to talk about this offline, y'all. So back in the 80s, somebody in my family, we not shot, right? Somebody in the 80s, they worked for the EEOC. And this person dated another person that worked in the EEOC. And I actually dated the same person. And it was a Black man. And we had a conversation. And I remember saying, well, what is the EEOC really doing? And how can y'all really do anything when the people in the EEOC, right, are there at the behest of, business, right? And business's approval. And so thinking back to, 20, 30 years ago, 15 years ago even, right? Nothing has changed from the standpoint that business dictates the laws. Business dictate, right, the employee experience. Within most companies, my research shows that people believe, and in most companies, that HR is responsible for leading the DEI initiatives. Well, how many of y'all know that HR is usually like 80% white women? 80% of white women, right? White women is making, hey Kevin, white women are making 80 cents on the dollar. They haven't even fought for their own equity. Asian women are making 95 cents on the dollar, right? And if you think about all of the ERGs and the women's led groups, right? You have, the women's ERG, which has always been the white and Asian women's ERG in the tech world for the last 15 years. I can tell you that because I have been around the country. You see, I worked in 20 cities, right, over my career. And the entire time, right, Black women have never, and as a matter of fact, Black women have gotten lower over that time period. So from the time that the EEOC was formed, from the time that organizations started talking about organizational diversity, because that is what it was called, okay, back in the 90s. It was called organizational diversity. And organizational diversity was run by people that had PhDs, and it was more around organizational effectiveness and how do we need to make sure that, organizations can run smoothly. And so there were all these reports about how Black women and men at the time, Black women and Black men, Black people aren't getting paid, right, equally. And so over time, as always, right, any kind of laws, any kind of guidelines, any kind of whatever that comes out, white women always get to benefit from it, right? So whether we're talking about suffrage, in terms of voting, whether we're talking about, pay, right? They always get the advantage and they always get that on the back of Black women. And so when we are looking at the data all this time, all these years, I feel like they are playing in our face with it because they know what it is. They have had this data and have been tracking it since the formulation of the EEOC. Because the EEOC was created because the government determined, oh yes, there are inequities in employment. And so we want to make equal opportunity. So from then to now, you tell me, why are we only making 58 cents on the dollar? Y'all, if you want to join in and talk, I'm going to click on the add you to conversation. The new version of Crowdcast, y'all, goes to, you can get up to 16 people. So I'm going to click and invite y'all on screen and let's talk about what they can do with these numbers because I know what they can do with these numbers. So y'all let me know if you want to jump in. If not, you could hit, deny or whatever. But if you want to jump on and talk, so the numbers can be manipulated, right? So to your point, Kevin, so you can take any numbers and you can make the numbers say, right, what you want them to say, right? You can make the numbers say what you want at any point, right? So when I think about these studies, right, and like the one I pasted to in LinkedIn last night, I was looking through, or yesterday, I was looking through not McKinsey's report. LinkedIn's report. Okay. I'm looking through LinkedIn's report. Okay. And LinkedIn's report it is so egregious. They're full of BS too. They are full of BS. And so for me, I think my issue is, why play the games? Why pretend, as opposed to having all of this reports, all of these datas, right? Somebody told me earlier, they looked through a report real quick. The report was 40 pages and only had 2 pages of any information. So what is the point of the string along? Is it just to make people forget? Is it just to make people complacent? Is it to just cause more harm? Because when I think about the impact of it, right, the impact is harmful. The impact is detrimental. The impact is pretty messed up. And so when I'm wondering about how everybody is still, making it seem like, things are going fine and still fighting the same battle the same way, I'm concerned. Like, I don't understand, right? Like I don't understand, why people are still willing to accept the okie doke. Why people are still willing to pretend that this DEI work is working for everybody, when literally it works for Asian people at this point, right? And some women, but it doesn't work for Black women. So for me, right, I think I look at it and I want to understand, like, how do we help people recognize that it's not working the way that it is? And as the people who are on the shitty end of the stick, right, I feel like it's incumbent upon us. I feel like it behooves us to step in and take the action, because we already know that nobody is coming, right? Like, we literally know that no one is coming for us, right? And so we know that we have to tell our own story, right? We know that we have to, build our own solutions, right? And we know that the only way that those things are even going to work with that is that we have to do that in our own way. We got to do that. I always say, like, we have to do that with our swag. And so the thing is, there's so many of us who are intimidated, right, by whatever, social media, by, these jobs that, hold all this power, over many of us. So many people are intimidated about, social media and what people gonna say and this and that. When I was getting blocked and stuff last weekend, I mean, literally, I wasn't worried about it. Except for the fact that I had posted some things that I hadn't saved because I didn't do it in my little system the way I'm supposed to. So I wanted my content back. But in terms of, do I believe that LinkedIn is a place, y'all, that gives a shit about DEI? They don't. Corporate America doesn't care. The government doesn't care. Nobody cares, because we could take it all the way back to 1863, or we could take it back to 1774, 1775, and 1776, or we could take it all the way back to there. For as long as the United States government, right, has been set up, right, since the 1700s, at any point in time, they could have decried and decreed that, black people are equal human beings and that pay has to be transparent, right? Off the boat, okay? They could have decided at any point, right, to make black people equal. And when we went into all these systems, right, the banking systems and all of that, right, at any point they could have made, right, equality. But what did they do instead? They gave everybody social security numbers and birth certificates, right? That's so that we never really have any freedom, right? That's so that we always know that we are property of the United States government, right? We always have to pay taxes, right? So all of the systems, right, from 1619 to now that they have set up, they could have said, okay, well, these are the systems that we're going to set up. But they did not set those systems up. And then every time over history, there's been people fighting, people standing up, people doing stuff, people gearing up and getting into action, right? What happens? They get killed, right? So you think about, and I've been thinking so much about, I've been really looking for white abolitionists. I'm looking for them. I'm looking for them under trees and rocks. I'm looking for the real non-black people who are real hardcore black abolitionists. And guess what? I can't find any. Besides Jane Elliott, and besides Tim Wise, and besides the Jolly Good Ginger, Russell Stewart or Russell, whatever his name is, last name, I don't know any. And so I say that to say that for everybody who's been out here for the last 15 years, 20 years, talking about DEI this and DEI that, they're only talking because we have the data. So we can look into this SHRM report. We can look into the other LinkedIn report. We can look into Bloomberg. We can look into, all of the damn reports that Sheryl Sandberg's people have done over the last 20 years. And black women's station in 20 years since Ms. Lean In has only gotten worse. So you would have to help me understand, right, how DEI has worked from the door, from the beginning. Because the way I see it, it has not. And so I wrote a whole ass book about it. And I'm this weekend when I go to my whole retreat and everything, and I have my session and all my whatever, I'm going to come back with my rollout plan and all that. But literally, there's so many reasons that we need to dump DEI, but just looking at the data and the denial of the data and the fact that, getting drunk on data, right, is part of one of the reasons that people aren't taking action. But the main piece, which we all know, it boils down to anti-blackness, period. Because you will have to help me understand, y'all, how did every demographic get above black people when black people have been in this country just as long as the damn Europeans? So how is it that Asian women, white women, Filipino, Pacific Islander women, and Latina women are all on our backs, making at least 23 cents more an hour? I cannot accept it. I cannot not talk about it. I cannot not criticize it, because if you look at the data, it's been telling us the same thing for decades. Decades. We've had data for decades, and nobody has done jack about it, because the bottom line is they don't want to do anything. But what did they do? They told all the other groups, right? All the other groups that if they wanted to get more pay, they want these promotions, they want more equity, they want to be included, then they need to exclude black people. They need to fight for their individual struggles and what they think separates them from black people. And that's what they should focus on. So back to the EEOC when there were not, before the tech boom happened, before HB1 visas, before all of that, Black people and Black women, right, out here in the streets fighting, trying to get equity, trying to get equality, trying to get parity, trying to get inclusion. I mean, and all this time they have been playing in our faces. So this is how I'm going to approach it, and this is my thought, and I want to know what y'all think. Pop it up in the chat. But first and foremost, it's no point in talking about this data any further. It's no point in talking about the data, because at the end of the day, and every time I say at the end of the day, I always feel Kanye-ish, because he says, at the end of the day, I'm feeling it. But at the end of the day, the data is not the problem. At the end of the day, the problem is around the entire structure of work, the entire structure of wealth, the entire structure that we have in this country, right? Which is, an oligarchy, right? It's not a democracy. They pretended to be a democracy so that they could hold on to power. And the evidence of that is that we are ruled by minority in this country, such that they took away human rights, right, for 52% of the people in this country. So 52% of us are capable of giving birth. And they said, well, you know what, you don't really matter with the destruction of Roe v. Wade. And so what that does is makes even more clear, right, that the people in power, right, that those 700 billionaires, right, that elite group of 1,000 people that lead the Fortune 500 and the government and, the entertainment business and blah, blah, blah. Those people don't give a crap about having more Black women in the C-suite. None of those people give a crap about giving Black women more venture capital. There's some Black people that want to give Black people more venture capital, but the Barclays and the Wells Fargos and the Bank of Americas and the Microsofts and the Amazons, they'll give Black women little $2,000 here and $5,000 here. Meanwhile, treat their workers like garbage, lie about all of these data points, lie about the intent of DEI, lie about the impact of DEI, and lie about the individuals in DEI, right? So in the SHRM report, and it's really long, but it has some good graphics in there. One of the things that the SHRM report talks about is how leaders, right, are rating themselves when it comes to, having a diverse, equitable, and inclusive workspace. Do you know that something like 60% leaders said that they rate their organization as very successful when it comes to DEI? So what that means is it's successful because it is doing what they want. And so, Kevin, I'm thinking about what you said, right, about the data. So if leaders are saying, yeah, DEI is working, we could do better, it's working because it hasn't made further progress. It's working because it hasn't worked, right? And so the lie on top of the lie, on top of the distraction, right, is the same thing. Exactly. It's less than 2%, right? And VC money is less than 0.25%. A quarter. So when it comes to Black women. And so my thing is, I don't understand, right, the battle for things that literally we have been fighting, and we can see that the battle is getting harder. The battle's getting harder, y'all, because it's more people aligning themselves and making themselves adjacent to power. But it's not white power, right? It's power in general. It's oligarchical power. It's capitalist power. It's billionaire power. And so if you bring that down to a company, a corporation, a school board, a police what do you call it, a government entity like, police district, fire or whatever, it still boils down to the same thing. It boils down to how do people utilize the power that they have. So I'm sure I'm not the only one, and you let me know, who has worked with black coons and corporations who pretend that they have the interests of black people at heart, but then you see that they don't. Okay, so you smiling. Okay, so when people decide to oppress other people, right, they do so at the expense, first and foremost, of their own emotional and psychological well-being. But even more so than that, when they decide to oppress other people, right, they've decided that, okay, if something ever go down, this the side I'm picking. And for me, knowing that white people will never pick us because they haven't picked us yet, they've picked everybody over us, right? Latina people, Asian people are over us. And everybody's over indigenous people because they they basically erased indigenous Indian Americans, right? American Indians, like they erased them. And they're trying to do the same thing to black people. But we are so conditioned in so many things that are related to this DEI thing. So we are conditioned, right? In terms of the way we see ourselves in this lesser way. So we don't even stand up for ourselves when we know we're getting paid less. Come on. Because when we do stand up for ourselves, when we know we're getting paid less, what happens? We know we get on that trajectory to get kicked out of the company, right? You get on the trajectory to be kicked out the company. And so you can't complain too much. You can't say, but so much, right? And so if we don't talk about it, if we never say it, see, it happened to you because it happens to everybody everywhere. It doesn't matter where you go because HR, and I know Tammy will tell you this, HR is in position as risk management, right? It happens to everybody everywhere. It happens to all of us everywhere. It happens, right? Because we are not allowed to complain. So remember, y'all, if a black person don't want to work for free, we are lazy. That's what it means, right? To them. So because we are at their service. So I think all the time, you know that famous picture of the enslaved woman and she got her baby on one breast and the white baby on the other? You know that picture I'm talking about?
Yep.
And she's naked. And they don't even got a skirt on her, right? They don't even give her the dignity of a skirt. And that's the same. There's no difference now. There's no difference. Lisa gets a dick pic on LinkedIn, and that's how they handle it. So black women, right? If we don't lay ourselves open, naked to the world and say, use me how you want, right? Then we are lazy. We get abused, right?
We uppity.
And they do everything. Uppity black bitch. Uppity black bitch. Absolutely. I done been called that I'm at least 150 times in my life. At least. In the 80s, they used to say it all the time. In the 90s, all the time. And think you don't hear it under your breath. Uppity black bitch. I heard you. Because I don't want to work for free. Because I will not let you manipulate me. And because I'm standing up for myself and I did this in my little talk I did the other day, I keep a copy of the Constitution and stuff because y'all know I'm a political junkie, right? And I was raised to believe the Constitution, that it meant me. That even though when they wrote it, it didn't mean me, but that it does mean me ideally, right? Just like in the Bible, right? I grew up in Baptist church, right? I was taught that, yeah, this is you, right? Even though, this was white people and white dudes, right? So when we look at it in reality and we say, where are we now?
About all of these data points.
We got some echo.
Of DEI.
Is that me?
About the impact.
That is you. Sorry.
Oh, there we go. That's okay. We got it. So, right, when you think about, right, the impact, right, and they know what they're doing. They know, right? And so what else do? We have to complain. We have to speak up, because if not, what? They just going to keep on pissing on our head until it's raining. I ain't going for it. What you think, Tam?
Listen, here's the thing. I was listening to you earlier. I'm literally listening to you as I'm becoming you. I'm bleaching my hair.
Let's do it. I'm great. I'm doing a touch up.
I was listening to you earlier talking about, I think the reason why there's not as much progress in DEI as well, particularly for Black women, is because when other Black women do get in, they conform to the table.
And
they do. The table is white and patriarchal.
Because they want to be at the table so bad. Because they like, this is my chance. Yeah.
They want to be the first. Like there's nothing like that Black woman or Black man. And I almost feel sorry for us when I see this shit, honestly.
Me too.
This announcing the first Black whatever. And I go,
I hate it. Oh, it makes me sick.
I really hate to see it. And I was like, if I was the first Black anywhere, nobody would know. My last job, I was the first and only Black woman and director. I never announced that anywhere.
Right.
I only talked about that in conversation relative to what I was talking about the challenges. And so what happens is a lot of Black people want to be the first, and to some degree, the only. And what they do is they get into these roles and they conform to the table. So they don't look out for the rest of us.
Yep.
They don't look out for the rest of us. And that's why you don't have the progress you would have in DEI. A girlfriend of mine just left Upwork. Now, they hired in the DEI role, chief DEI, this Black woman, and they hired her because she was pedigreed of the yin yang. She came from Yale and Princeton. You know, they love a pedigreed Negro.
They love a pedigree, because if you pedigree, you. I always look at pedigree as really pedigree, right?
Yes.
Pedigree.
Listen.
Because you know. Go ahead.
Right? So she's pedigreed up the yin yang. What did this pedigreed Black woman do? She hired a white man to be the director of DEI in her department.
Yeah, because they told her she had to.
Because they told her she had to.
Yeah, and instead of her using some integrity and, using some guts, right? And stepping up, just conform. Just conform. And then I bet she went back and played in all the Black people face like, I'm trying.
Yeah. And you know what's funny, because the little white girl who worked there that I was talking to in HR, that she, and I said this, I said, what is so insidious about HR? They sell HR to these young people and young people, Black, white, and all of them, that they're going to come into a role where they get to actually help people. And that's just not true. So this white girl spent 5 years, $50,000 getting a bachelor's degree in HR and saying, I can't do that work anymore because what they require me to do, I can't do anymore. Mm-hmm. And I said to her, I said, what this Black woman did, she basically just hired her replacement. And she doesn't know that she did that. Mm-hmm. I said, because what that white man is going to do is shoehorn her right out of the position she just hired him for.
Absolutely. Yep. And everybody around her is going to help him do that.
Absolutely. And I'm like, whatever power you have, you got to utilize it for other Black people. When I was the only Black director there, I hired a Black manager. I promoted Black team leads. I hired the Black trainer in my department. Now, that was the only power I had, but the one I did have, I put other Black people beneath me. I didn't hire anybody else, but other Black people. So you can navigate if you choose to navigate. And I remember my managers used to say to me, how do you get Patrick, which is the CEO, the white guy, how do you get him to go along with you? And I'm like, because I know how to work the system. And part of it is I know how to stroke egos. Because my CEO was not a bright man. He was not bright. And eventually, upon my recommendation, they fired him. But he wasn't bright.
Because you don't got to be, if he's a white guy, he don't have to be bright. How bright does he have to be? He has to be connected. Knew.
I was like, all you have to do for this man is stroke his ego and you could get what you want. But the other directors who were white women were just so subservient to this white man. And I just went, and I would look at them like, do you understand that we are running this company as the women in this company, because we were all women directors. And I think that's why we're not further along in DEI, because when you do get Black people in these positions, they conform to the table and they don't help other Black people along. And, I've said this on LinkedIn, Vonda, that we become the most educated and then the most classist group of people.
Yep.
If you ain't the right kind of Black, they ain't helping you. If you weren't a sorority, they ain't helping you. If you ain't a part of the clique, they ain't helping you. If you don't speak a certain way, they ain't helping you. If you don't dress a certain way, they're not helping you. Like they get into these rooms and they create their own mini gangs within the rooms. Yeah. And they gatekeep to keep other Black people who do not look, speak, and have what they have out.
Yes. You 100%. You 100%. I can't tell you how many times that has happened. The right kind of Black. Right. Because let me tell you, I have had people say to me, and not even that long ago, okay? I have had Black women say to me, all you got to do is keep your damn mouth shut. You ain't going to never get nowhere. That's why you can't get nowhere, because you just won't keep it shut. Well, I'm not going to keep shut about how I'm getting treated and how I'm not getting paid. And if I have to watch other people get mistreated, for me, it's almost the same. You understand? Right. And I can't even tell you how many times that I got the same treatment, that Kevin and Wendy talked about for sticking up for other people that got super terribly treated, in egregious ways that I said to myself, well, they not Black. Maybe they'll do something because that person got treated real bad. But because I was the one who reported it, and then they made that person scared to tell what really happened. And they were like, oh, they said they got a report, and so now I can't say it. I'm like, oh my, and it was horrible. So when I tell y'all, right, we've seen it, we know, right, we've experienced it. It's so many pieces to it. And so I have had this story. I might have told you this when I was, this is how I know Joe Biden, because I used to take the train from Wilmington to Washington. When my daughter was still a baby, I was still pumping my breast milk. And so this was in 2002, okay? So you know how big the portable breast pumps was? They was bigger than a laptop, a whole laptop. Like they were gigantic, okay? I was carrying it on the train with a laptop and a projector 3 days a week. The manager that I had was a Black woman supervisor, y'all. She made me drive my car 2.5 hours instead of letting me take the Acela, which was only 1 hour and 15 minutes. I had to pump breast milk on 95 so many times on the highway while driving my car.
Wow.
Right. So Black woman. And she had kids.
Well, they'd be the worst.
She had a son. And that I remember thinking, oh, like Jesus. And I left that job so fast, that position so fast. I took a job in New Jersey when I lived in Delaware that was an 1.5-hour drive just to get away from her. Because I was like, I'm going to die out here on this highway or something. You know what I mean? Like, and nobody cared and nobody would do anything. Because in corporate, and tell me if you've seen this, corporate will allow a Black woman to abuse another Black woman. They love it. Yeah, and then they do. They get another white woman, right, to help. And then it's like, you the dummy. So listen, I'm never going back in corporate America. I'm letting y'all know I'm not going back. And I try to tell every young person when I was down at Morehouse and I was talking to the kid, I was like, listen, I just need to get Apple on my resume. I just need to get Microsoft on my resume. I said, for what? To prove that you know how to take abuse, to prove you know how to take a beating, to prove you know how to, get abused. I said, because the bottom line is you getting abused there, period. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be so bad that you're going to, have serious problems, but why are you setting yourself up for it when you don't need to? It's not about a name, and they don't want us there. And so that's my other part. So when y'all look at the data over and over, right? And I'm going to ping some other links in later. I'm on my laptop and not my iMac where I had these other ones. But you got to look at some of this data and how long they have had it, okay? And how they keep on saying the same thing. So what I'm proposing is that we think about not only, right, how, yeah, the couple of black people that get out up there, they do gatekeep, but it's still so few. How did Asian women get to 95 cents on the dollar? I need y'all to help me with that. And I need y'all to help me with why the hell. I know part of it, but I need to understand then why are we as DEI folk out here in the world generally, I'm just saying, speaking in generalizations, why are we out here focusing on, queer and disabled and Asian hate and all of this when black women is getting 58 damn cents?
Yeah. Listen,
white women is making 95 cents. They is almost equal to white men.
Listen.
So what? What they ain't fighting for us?
No, well, they're not. And here's the thing. I've said this, but here's the thing, Vonda. I have said this on LinkedIn. I've said this to quite a few black people that I actually trust enough to say this to. I'm like, if black people don't create their own underground railroad within corporate, we will forever be screwed. And the thing is,
that's why I left, because people wasn't down to do it. Because
people weren't down to do it.
They not down to do it. They weak in the knees.
They're not down to do it. And the weird thing is, there's some white people in corporate America who participate.
Got way more balls.
Needed white people, right? Like she needed white people for that Underground Railroad to work as much as she her own determination, right? So and there are white men, there are white women in corporate spaces that will help us. The problem is some of the black people that get into these spaces gatekeep it, Wanda.
Yes, they do.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
like
they do.
You already have white people that's going to do it. White people are going to white people at the end of the day. Right?
At the end of the day, they can't help. They can't, and they cannot help it because they have not been. But
you do have some white people. Listen, I have this white lady that goes in every time she meets with a client. I promise you, she's not on. You've never seen a comment on my LinkedIn post. You've never seen her like my LinkedIn post. Every time she meets with a client, when she closes her deal, she turns and she starts talking about what's going on with your culture. What's going on with your DEI?
Yeah,
I got the right person for you.
That
white woman walks into every meeting and she leaves my name, my information. I've had business come from that white woman. She's not on LinkedIn. She ain't commenting. She ain't liking. She ain't sharing.
Right.
When she gets in rooms and she's closing her deal because she's there for there, she never leaves the room without saying, "You need to hire Tammy."
There you go.
She never leaves the room. So I know these white people exist. The problem is finding the right black people in these spaces to behave like the white woman that's behaving that way.
Right. Okay, so then the other piece goes back to the pie mentality, where people think that life is a damn pie and work is a pie, and so it's only 8 pieces, and so I can't let nobody in. And so are we still living under that? Because I think it's deeper than that. And so we still living under that. And go ahead.
But I think it's worse for black people, right? Because black people have some, not all, but some black people, when they get these opportunities, they have such a poverty mindset that they think that that's the best they can have, the best they will ever do. And they're not going to let anybody, including, and that's when we become not the right kind of black, right? That's when black people call us the N-words. I ain't letting no N, we become N-words to them because they think this is the best they can have, the best they will ever do. That they're so happy to be invited into the room that they don't think that I can make space for Vonda. I can make space for Tammy. I can make space for Kevin. I can make space.
Right.
But they don't think that they can make space. So when you have black people go into these roles, like you said, you got your pedigree blacks, and white America loves the pedigree black. And you know what's so funny? Let me tell you something. I find it hilarious personally. When I meet black people who talk about black liberation, but still will flex their Harvard and Yale, I'm like, if they
went to Harvard and Yale, they need to kiss my ass.
I was like, okay, but
because the beatings that they took.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, you're talking black liberation, but you want to flex on us as black people about your Harvard and Yale degree. What education do I think you really got from Harvard and Yale?
Right, you got what you're supposed to get. You got the version that tells you that there's a certain kind of black, and the only kind of black is the kind of black that white people say is the kind of black. Oh, until you ain't. Because there is no certain kind of black, right? Until you get OJ'd, right? Until whatever. And so for me, that is why I think I, had gotten to a point when I was like, okay, I got all these books written. I need to figure out, what I'm going to do. Is like, I see that anti-blackness current so deep. And so my original thing was like, I want us, y'all, to be able to envision and think about and really imagine what a pro-black future looks like and start working on it, right? So I have all this other stuff. So when I started kind of thinking, and then I started doing the research, and I said, damn, people don't even understand what anti-blackness is. They don't even understand why DEI hasn't worked. So then after George Floyd, I said, oh my God, yeah, nobody really gets it, right? And so, thanks, Chris. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So when I think right now, it's like, okay, where are we? And what do we need to do? We have got to unpack this anti-blackness. Because my thing is, Asian people, Middle Eastern people, other people who are not of European descent, they get to say, I'm not racist, I'm Asian. And it's like, no, you're not racist, you're just anti-black. But our society, our structures, our systems, our organizations, our schools, the education, everything is anti-black. So if the only education you got was what they gave you in public school, right? And if you had a parent that was working a full-time job, you're lucky if you got public education, right? But if you grew up black, if you got to go to school every day, right? And you had, like I know now, nobody had black teachers hardly in the whole damn America. You got the whitewashed version. And so then if you were never challenged, or if there was never anything that was right in your face that stood up to it, that made you challenge, right, your position, challenge your thoughts, challenge how you are looking at things, then you stay stuck. So that is why it's about learning, right? And learning, change, and growing. And so my thing is, DEI has to be dumped because it's just like all nonsense. Like diversity, equity, like it's all nonsense. And to your point about we have to construct these underground systems within the bigger systems. So how do we help people get some courage? How do we other than, the work that we're doing, right? But like if we had to say, okay, we want people to realize, especially black people, that you're worth it. You are, just because you was conditioned to believe that you're supposed to be working for free, that doesn't mean that you really are. And so, these are the things. But I want us to be able to help people see that we have to move in a new direction, because I think it's to me, like I said earlier, I feel like they're playing in our face with this DEI stuff because the statistics prove that it's not working. It's proving it. What do you think? You on mute?
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I have been trying to figure out, honestly, Vonda, for a very long time, and it's I'm always on LinkedIn making content, how to get Black people to buy in. Mm-hmm. And I honestly, I don't even know, because until I see my liberation connected to yours.
Right.
And unless Black people see it that way, I don't think that we can convince them any more than we can convince white people to move white men out of DEI roles and put Black women in it.
I think we just need to move white women out. The white men.
Well, listen, but the funny thing is, the trend is, I've been noticing more white men than even white women.
Oh, Jim.
Which is why I wrote that post. Which is why I shared that video saying I need white men to tell me how you're approaching this work.
They're not approaching it. They're approaching it based on the directives from the HR department. So I wrote about that yesterday. The directives are find out who the troublemakers are so we could get rid of them. There's no other part in the work. So they're going to hire a nice, friendly white guy somebody handsome or either grandfatherly that's going to be all chumming up with everybody. Then they're going to have meetings with the ERGs. Then they're going to find out who the most outspoken ones are, who people look up to. Then they're going to get to know that person and get to manipulate that person. And then find out who's the troublemakers. Find out who's the people having the most problems. Find out who are the bad bosses everybody talks about. Boom, boom, boom. Then they go back to the CEO and the chief human resources officer and the chief legal officer, and they say, okay, well, this person is a level such and such at this. Okay, well, it's going to take 2 months to get them out. We can move this person over here. Okay, what about these people? That's what they do. So that is how it works. And so my thing is it that people don't understand the game and how it works? And is that the education that needs to happen in the social setting? Because when they see my book, the book is long, and now I'm like, okay, part of it was like some case studies and stuff, so I'm still kind of figuring out which pieces I'm gonna take out. But literally, I have studies, I have anecdotes, I have like we have got to help people move off of this. And the other thing is, people need to understand that these companies, right? Yeah. These companies are not going to do shit. Right. They're not going to do anything. It's going to be
not
more
motivated to do it.
Right. And they don't have to, because nobody is holding them accountable. And you understand that because of those indemnities, insurance, and all of that stuff, right? It's no risk to them. It's no risk to these companies to discriminate against people, other than maybe they can't get somebody else that, you know, that they would want to hire to work there. But they don't want black people working at these companies. They don't want black women getting VC money. Let me just tell you, if somebody were to write Vonda Page a check right now for like 10 or 15 or $20 million, I have 4 technologies in different stages of, I've been a technologist, you know, since 1984. You understand, right? I'm a Black Panther deep down in my soul, okay? I have technology for us, but I don't have no money to build it. So, don't you think it's black women, black men, other people, right? That you know, like me, right? And younger ones and smarter ones, right? That have ideas and plans and ways for black liberation. How come we can't get them through? Well, what if they gave a black person a job like a chief people officer, somebody like you, Tammy, at a big ass company like Google? They would never give you a job like that. Because, right, if you actually had the power, right, because if you actually had the authority to make the change, you would. Yeah. So that's why they're not going to ever give you that job. That's why black women is never going to get 16% of the VC money. Now, we might get 100% of Serena's VC money, because she going to give her money to black women. I know she is. She giving all her money to black women. You understand? Right? But she the only one in Arlen. They the only ones I know giving their money to black women. Arlen gives her money to other people too. Okay? So my point is, they know. Every time black people have built something in this country, what has happened? What did white people do? Steal it or burn it down, right? Or make it illegal, right? So my point is, the systems aren't going to work. But I think I like the idea, and you know, I like the idea of training up, you know, white friendly guys in HR and giving them the actual tools and skills, right, that they need. Because if they say, okay, I really do want to do something and make this, you know, make equity a thing, right? I do want to, you know, get black women off the 58 cents. Okay, that's super simple. That's like super simple. You make people fill out if they're white, black, male, female, or non-binary, right? So all you got to do is pull out the thing and look at their pay and bump everybody up 42 damn cents. Yep. It's not that freaking hard. That could be done with 2 clicks of a mouse.
Yep. If they wanted to do it.
But nobody wants to do it. And that's what I want to talk about. And I want to talk about how the queer community and the disabled community always want to come for black women on some bullshit, but black people come in queer bodies and disabled bodies.
I think they forget that. Listen, I think
it's bullshit.
that Black people are like when you think about DEI, which is why I wrote that post about, please let's get to the foundation, which means everything else is built on, but the foundation of DEI is race.
Right.
It's why DEI exists. It didn't exist for disabled people. It didn't exist because of people. It did not.
It existed because Black people wasn't getting paid the same. That's why they created it.
Exactly. I'm like, the foundation. Everything else is added in. But in those add-ins, we have Black gay people. We have Black disabled people. We have Black, Black people come in every box
everything.
For DEI. But let's not pretend that DEI did not start from race. And I get so sick of people talking about, well, DEI is more than race. First of all, if race didn't exist, there wouldn't be no DEI. Because
how about this? You can take it back further. How about if slavery still existed, there wouldn't be no DEI.
Exactly.
And disabled people would just be left to die, right? And put in institutions like they
still are. And they still are.
And they still are. How about it?
I'm doing a training next month. And it's a sister. She found me on TikTok and she was like, I've watched all your TikTok videos. I followed you over there on LinkedIn. She goes, I want you to come do some training. She goes, and I want you to do training the way you talk. I'm like, well, I don't know how to do training any other way. So if you hire me, this is the amount you're getting. Like you're not getting.
There you go.
This professional. This is my professional. Okay, this is my professional. And one of the trainings that
you are a professional as a person, and so my thing is this, right? So there you go. Yeah,
I told her. So the first training is going to be on ableism and how we don't even think about it, consider it. And I'm doing this training with majority Black women and Black men.
Yep.
Because these aren't even talked about. Like when people and listen, we are all guilty of that, particularly us, even us in DEI. We lead with race a whole lot, and we do, and I have been guilty of it myself. We do neglect the Black disabled body and how they are far less. Like I was talking to a friend, he's Jewish, and he was telling me, we were having this conversation. He was like, well, we've come a long way. Look where we are in terms of gay rights. And I said, do you know why we are as far as we are in gay rights? I said, I want you to go back to the Supreme Court when it came down that gay marriage was legal. Scan the crowd. What do you see in that crowd? White faces. The reason why gay agenda has advanced, it's not because Black faces and brown faces,
it's because white men wanted it.
Exactly. I said the face of the gay movement has always been gay white men.
That's right. That's why it's okay. That's why white men, white trans people are okay. Because
I'm like, if you
as long as they're
any progress relative to disability, whether it's gay, disabled people, neurodivergent, the faces in front of those movements are always white. And if they're white faces, it is going to bring everybody to heel and act. Okay. I said, so we're not where we are with gay rights because gay people exist. We are where we are with gay rights because white gay people exist.
That's it. And if any white person other than Jane Elliott, Tim Wise, and the Jolly Ginger were to speak up en masse, right, in terms of any of what we are talking about right now, right, then we wouldn't even have to have a conversation. But the problem is white people don't do it. Latinx people don't do it. Asian people don't do it, right? Middle Eastern. Nobody sticks up for Black people. And because of this condition, of this internalized anti-Blackness, because of this whole thing, right? Then we don't even like ourselves. And we gatekeep and we do all of that other stuff. And so I want to flip it now to helping people to uncover anti-Blackness. Like, how do you help people do that? Especially, well, it doesn't even matter whether it's Black people or white people. So the first thing is, I think, right, is allowing people to talk about it and getting people to talk about, okay, well, what did I grow up learning and believing about Black people? Because that's where it starts, right? And so did you grow up only believing that Black people were, Africa is this poor, barren, destitute place with skinny kids, that are all dying of hunger. And then finally, we came over here in ships and worked ourselves up to something. If that's the only thing you were taught, then yeah, it makes sense why people don't speak up for themselves when they know they're getting paid 58 damn cents on the dollar. And then you see how the images of how they portray us in the media, as opposed to, like, back to your thing, Tammy, about being the first. I never talk about being the first, and I always been the first of everything, in everything. It's never no black people, and every now and then there'll be a black EA or admin. I'll be like, oh my God, thank God. You know what I mean? But it's not fun, right? It's to me, it's not even anything to be celebrated. It's more sad than anything, especially the first, of something, that some company that's been around for 300 years, like these bank presidents and all of this, and everybody like, I'm so proud of you. I'm just thinking, oh man, I'm not proud. I just feel sad. I feel sad. What do you think?
I always feel sad because I'm like, the amount of compromise you were walking into makes me feel sad for you. Right. It makes me feel really sad for you. And what you're walking into, something that is designed to pull you away from your blackness, to disconnect you from it, to absolutely disconnect you from your blackness. And you don't realize that that's happening to you until you are so microaggressed, you are so stressed out, that when you do leave there, you realize how anti-black you have come. And, I've written this post on LinkedIn too, that anti-blackness is not just the white thing. It's a black thing too. Because
hell yeah,
a lot of black people, if you are not the right black, they don't even fuck with you.
Right.
They ain't hiring you. They ain't bringing you in to speak. They ain't doing none of that. Because I get what she's saying, but you got to come into these people's places. You got to play their game. And the thing is, I always say, anytime somebody says to me, the second, the minute, the hour, somebody says to me, well, you have to get in the door to make change. What I know that you're doing is justifying why you're going into this company to work. That's a justification for you. Right. Because I don't know anybody, particularly the system as entrenched as corporate America and whiteness, that you think your little black body is going to have to just get in the door and make some change. It's a bunch of bullshit. And what you're trying to do is tell me that I know I'm getting ready to compromise myself. I know I'm getting ready to sell out black people, but don't make me feel bad for it.
Yep. All of that. And so my thing is, and we're going to have to pick this up another time, but I want to talk about, so what I'll do is, so I'm going out of town tomorrow. I'm going to DC. Oh my God, I'm going to have the best freaking time. I cannot wait. I don't even know if I'm going to sleep tonight. But I'm going to do, I think the next part, right? So we dissected the data. We talked about data. I think the next part, because I came up with this other thing, y'all. I said, this is why DEI doesn't work. This is part of it. 3 reasons that DEI doesn't work. I said, because of the individuals. Okay. I said, because of the, intent of DEI, and because of the implementation. So next, should we talk about the individuals next? Because I think we should deep dive right into the different archetypes of people who work in DEI, right? So we can start to pull them out. So deep dive into the DEI divas. We're going to deep dive into DEI divas. And I set it up for four sessions on that. But let's talk about them, right? All them different people that work in DEI, right? What they try to do, what they can do, what works, why it doesn't work, who they are. And you know what? Maybe it'll also be like, kind of like pre-medicine, or, me amping them up to really think about, focusing their work in terms of looking at it from an anti-blackness perspective, first and foremost, and not worrying about all that other stuff. Because like we talked about, right? Black people come in every body, just like, there's everything. So I want to thank y'all so much. Oh my God, Tammy, girl, I love you. Listen, hopefully I can fly you in for my thing. I don't want to say nothing yet, but I'm working on it. Hopefully I can fly you in. Yeah, I'm working on it. So, but I just want to thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Chris, for joining.
I agree, Chris.
Hey, that's right. Hey, listen, this is it, y'all. We're going to keep having a conversation. If you are new to Crowdcast and you want to do other stuff, let me tell you, the other thing you could do is you can always go back in. You can comment. You can put links in. You can always share this link. You can go back in and rewatch it. And you can create clips if you download the Crowdcast, the whole streaming thing. And then you can send them out and use them on your social media with your own comments that you made, because this is that kind of a platform. It's really nice. So I want to say thank y'all so much. And we are going to keep on talking about how to dump DEI. I love dissecting the data. I'm going to also make sure y'all have these other links, because you got to see these reports, girl. I
already downloaded the links as you were doing it. While
you got these reports. These reports
I'm a
ridiculous.
report junkie the same way, and
right.
I love analyzing data, and I love that you're going to do the different architect of the DEI person, because based on what I do, I am constantly aware of the people stuff and how people move and how they move. That's why I say when everybody says to me, "Oh, I just need to get in the door," I know what you're saying to me, even if you won't tell me what you're saying to me, and that's don't make me feel bad for what I'm about to do. Because the system is too entrenched and I
don't got the guts.
Right. And that's why I said, this is why I was saying that underground railroad of Black people, like wherever you are, whatever corporation you are in, you need to be bringing other Black people who think like you, believe like you, and who's going to have your back. I have walked out of jobs with other Black people. I have quit jobs with other Black people.
Wow.
Okay,
we could have burnt up some stuff. We could have burnt up some stuff, but I ain't never going back in corporations. But we burned up some stuff. Look, we'll burn up some stuff and make some money. But listen, I was looking for somebody to walk out of companies with me. I could have started so many actions. I could have sued so many people.
I've walked out with Black people. Like, okay, well, sis, if they fucking you, they fucking us both. And I have walked out of jobs with Black people. And we need more people like that. And I have put Black people in positions and paid them well over what they should have been getting paid. Because listen, when you get to the C-suite level, you know this, Vonda, I have seen particularly white men get paid $100,000 more than even the white woman who was more degreed than them, more qualified than them, and they had no
and they won't do nothing.
And they had no qualms about taking that money. And then I saw women, white women, Black women, just women, nickel and diming other women. So when I got in the position, I was like, I'm not going to make you merit your raise. What did Tom give his crew? Oh, he gave all of his employees 7%. All of my employees get 7%. I'm not meriting nothing. I'm going tit for tat. You gave all your male salespeople 7%. I'm giving all my women, because my department was all women. Everybody got 7%. And then I would challenge HR to come back and push back on me when I know she didn't push back on Tom. But you got to have people in corporate spaces doing that kind of stuff. And a lot of people won't do it. See, I'm never afraid about losing a job, because a broad like me can always get a job.
Hello. Look, hello. I never worried about it. Never.
I am so connected. And when you connected and when you've done right by people, I have people that call me like, listen, I'm done with this stuff. I need work. All right. Well, send me your resume. I got you. Like that's how I live my life. But that's because I've been good to people along the way. And when you're good to people along the way, they remember you.
Yep. So I love this. So, hey, listen, this is great. It seemed like this time kind of worked out, huh? 3 p.m. kind of worked. So, I'm trying to figure out if I can get a time that works for a couple people live. Y'all can always listen to it, and I'm not going anywhere. And oh, by the way, if I do get kicked off LinkedIn, right? You can go to Vonda page or, get on Crowdcast. I'm around if I do get kicked off, even though
I'm surprised they haven't kicked me off yet, Vonda. I'm not even lying.
Your term is coming. You know you coming. You know your time is coming.
I am so shocked that
they gonna get you in a minute.
But they do make my profile blink. Like my profile will just be missing for like a good 5-10 minutes and it'll come back.
That's the same thing. But that's the same thing.
If I
they
gonna
get you.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying I'm gonna be around. And so what I'm doing is I have so in Crowdcast, especially for people the first time you listen, if you go to the Living Corporate page, you can see all of my events are in here because I'm scheduling my stuff like months in advance. So that way, if I get kicked off of any social media, you can still connect with me on the event because nobody can kick me off of Crowdcast. They can't kick me off of that. They can't kick me off of that, y'all. So I ain't letting them kick me off. So this was amazing. We are going to keep on talking about why we need to dump DEI. Next time, we are going to get into DEI divas. And we're going to dive into the archetypes of, I like to say, the DEI decision makers, practitioners, and professionals, right? Because I look at it as it's kind of like three layers of it. And we're going to just keep on bumping. I appreciate y'all so much. And this is how, how we do what we do, right? This is how we going to change things. This is how, whether it happens tomorrow, next week, next year or 5 years from now, this conversation and many more are going to make a difference. So I just want to say thank y'all. Appreciate it. And I'll catch you next time.
This is a good time. Bye. I like this time.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Well, let's try it. I see y'all then. Bye.
Bye.
When you're building a culture of belonging, every word counts. That's why Textio brings the world's most advanced language insights into your hiring and employer brand content. Our industry-leading approach to artificial intelligence and machine learning provides the tools needed to find more diverse candidates. In short, Textio builds more equitable workspaces, guiding businesses and writing more inclusive job posts. And we're building on that success by bringing even more products to the market for all people who share our belief that language matters. Words have power, and at Textio, we harness that power to increase the access and availability of value-driven work for everyone.